Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We recommend you sit on this side if you can, because we're going to be showing things on the screen tonight. Thank you, Beth. Everybody, we're going to start on page 7, the Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Malachem Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Uni Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Malachem Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
To everyone here in the sanctuary, to those of you who are joining us at home, it's so nice for us to be together, to greet Shabbat, to raise our voices together in song and prayer. And this is kind of a Shehechianu moment, it feels like. I wish I could turn the camera around for those at home so that you could see the smiling faces of everyone sitting in the sanctuary, because this is the first Shabbat where wearing a mask is optional. For those who prefer to wear, you're welcome to. If you're comfortable unmasking, it's wonderful to see your smiling faces, and feels kind of weird, but really good at the same time. And at home, you don't have to wear a mask, I promise. Believe it or not, if you look at the calendar, if you followed the news, it's quite ironic that tonight is the first night that it's optional to wear a mask, because today marks 1 year to the day.
2 years.
2 years to the day since COVID was officially announced and we began closing down. If those of you will remember, 2 years ago this weekend, our Purim Spiel was the last public gathering we had before we went online. And here we are a year later.
2 years.
2 years later.
You just don't want to believe it.
I guess so. I'm in denial. Here we are 2 years later. And thank God, finally, the numbers are down. And we're able to offer optional masking. And tomorrow night, we celebrate Purim. This year in a very different way with our Purim movie, because it's been in the works for months now. So let's continue raising up the joy of this Shabbat as we sing together Lecha Dodi.
We're on page 6. I know we're going backwards, but...
Lecha Dodi. Shamor v'zachor
Lechato. Let's hear you.
Likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, lekabela, lechadodi. Likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, lekabela. Likrat Shabbat, lechu melecham, yihim et or ha'bracha, merosh mikedem yesucha, ufaseh b'machshavat tevilah, lechadodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, lekabela, lechadodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, lekabela. Roi v'shalom, ateret bala, gam v'simcha, u'tzola, tov emunei, am segula, boi chalav, lechadodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, lekabela, lechadodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, lekabela. And we continue with the lighting of our candles for Shabbat on page 8, and it's a pleasure to invite onto the bima Marianne Messenger for the honor of lighting candles.
And we're on page 8. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner, lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Thank you.
Shabbat Shalom. And our service continues on page 9, and we invite those who are able to please rise for our call to worship the Baruch Hu.
Baruch hu et Adonai,
Mevorach, Good. We continue on page 10, chanting together the Ahavta. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha uv'chol meodecha v'chayu advarim ha'eleh asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha veshinantam levanecha vedibarta bam veshivtecha bevetecha uvlechtecha baderech uveshochbecha uvkumecha ukshartam le'od ayadecha
והיו לטוטפות
בעיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם.
אני
אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Well, this week the Jewish world turns the page, or more accurately, rolls the scroll, and we begin the third of the 5 books of the Torah as we begin the book of Vayikra, which means "and he called." And truthfully, a lot of the contents of Vayikra are pretty dry, because it's filled with all kinds of instructions for making the sacrifices in the ancient temple, which to our modern sensibilities is kind of weird, thinking that we please God by burning an animal, by slaughtering it and burning it on an altar. That's a religious exercise. But in the minds of our ancestors, that's what they did. And we have to think of it as giving a gift. You know, when we give a gift to somebody, and it's someone we love, and it's an important relationship, we take a lot of time thinking about what's the right gift that would make them happy. What's the right gift that would convey our feelings and our attachment? So think of the sacrifices in that vein, that our ancestors were giving a gift to God, sometimes as a sin offering, sometimes as a gift of thanksgiving. And there's also something in the word itself. The word for sacrifice in Hebrew is korban. And as Karma and I like to always teach, the root letters of korban, kuf, resh, bet, have another meaning, which is to draw near. And so by coming to the temple and offering these sacrifices, our ancestors, what they were doing emotionally was drawing near to the divine and bringing godliness into their lives by giving these special gifts. And one more thing. If you look carefully at the language of the beginning of Vayikra, it starts out in the singular, and very quickly it shifts to the plural, talking about the commandment for all of us to bring korbanot, to bring sacrifices to the temple. And there's an important message in that, because Jewish prayer, while we can pray individually, and we do, is really a communal activity. And we bring God close when we gather together for prayer, when we create communities to learn to pray, to help shape our world in a positive way, to create communities of meaning. So let's think of those messages as we begin this book of Vayikra. And now we continue on page 11 with Mi Chamocha. And let's read together. Page 11, standing at the water's edge, the sea spray on your cheek, close your eyes and feel within the beating of freedom's drum. Listen closely on the breeze. Do you hear the music of the ages? Oh God, you beat the drum. You are the song. You are the wonder in each of us. With joy and awe, we sing to you this song. One of the ways we sustain our community is by guarding the Sabbath, and that's what the Shamru asks us to do, because this is primarily when we gather, isn't it, as we worship each Shabbat together.
Away. There is a song on the wind and joy in the trees. Shabbat has arrived in the world, scattering a song in the silence of the night, and eternity honors a day. And
Sifatai, Sifatai Tiftam, Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha, Adonai, Sifatai, Sifatai Tiftam, Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha.
Page 14.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel. Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor veHanorah El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zocher Chastei Avot V'Imahot
Umevi
Geula Livnei V'neihem Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer u'Moshiach u'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai V'chayei hakol Atah Rav le'Hoshia Mechakel Chaim b'Chesed Mechayei hakol b'Rachamim Rabim Somer noflim verofeh cholim
Umatir asurim umekayet
Emunato lishanei afar
Michamocha
Mocha ba'gevurot Umido melach Melech meimit umechayei Umatzmiach Yeshua V'nehemanata lahachayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai B'chayei hakol Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh Ukadoshim b'chol yom Yehallelucha selah Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. Please be seated.
Continue on page 16 with Shalom Rav, another prayer for peace.
Shalom Rav, O Yisrael Amcha, Ta'azim let's take a few quiet moments now so that each of us might have the opportunity to turn inward, to search our own hearts, our own minds, think about the events in the world and think about our own lives and give thanks for the blessings and have a few quiet moments to meditate. Tfilat Halev, the prayer of the heart. Well, I was driving home from Temple earlier this week and listening to a segment on NPR that caught my attention. It was one of the many stories about the unfolding refugee crisis in Central Europe, with over 2 million refugees at this counting who have crossed the borders of Ukraine into all the surrounding countries. This one especially caught my attention because not only was it in part a Jewish story, but it centered on a very special place, the Chochmei Lublin Yeshiva, which we visited on our congregation's trip to Central Europe. It's a beautiful building in Poland that was once an important center of Jewish learning. I was so moved by what's going on in that building today that I decided it's a story that needs to be told. So in lieu of a formal sermon tonight, I'm going to share with you the story as told on NPR and share some of the photos that they posted online. Are you ready, Ari? Here's the story. In the city of Lublin, between winding cobbled streets stands a bright yellow building that's impossible to miss. It has 8 columns out front and a wide staircase that leads to a large carved wooden doors that let out a long moan as they swing shut. It was built almost a century ago as a Jewish house of study, but today is being used for a purpose that no one who designed it would have ever imagined. I started looking for places to house refugees because it was clear that Putin was going to do something, said Michael Shudrich, Poland's chief rabbi. This building has been through a few transformations in its life. Rabbi Shudrich started laying the groundwork for its most recent rebirth a few weeks ago, before Russia invaded Ukraine. I said I prefer to have places for people to shelter and nothing to happen than not to be prepared and have a disaster, he said. But I and almost the rest of the world never dreamt that Putin would actually do what he did. As he looked for places that Poland's Jewish community could use to house Ukrainian refugees, the rabbi in Warsaw thought of this grand yellow building in Lublin. In the 1930s, it was a renowned center of study. The Lublin Yeshiva had the best teachers, the best students, and the best library. And then the Holocaust nearly obliterated Poland's Jews. The vast majority of the students were killed. Rabbi Shudrich said, most of the library was destroyed, and then the Jewish community received the building back as a part of communal restitution about 10 years ago. And the question became, what are we going to do? They decided to restore the old synagogue and turned what used to be a dormitory into a working hotel. Today, the sign on the facade of the building says, Hotel Ilan, feel the tradition. But 2 weeks ago, this hotel stopped booking tourists and corporate groups. The basement is now crowded with boxes of clothes, strollers and diapers for babies, as well as food and medical supplies. A swarm of volunteers fold up clothes for the Ukrainians who arrive only with the things they were able to carry. In one corner, a little girl plays with a stuffed toy dog while her mother goes through a box of shoes for her to try on. Across the room, a woman digs through a box of jackets for something that might fit. It was once a conference room, but it was transformed in 2 days into a place to give those fleeing war the most basic things to survive. Agnieszka Lipman is a 28-year-old volunteer, surrounded by piles of clothing stacked 5 feet high on the tables around her. They need all the basics, she said. We have also some toys for kids, and just to make their life a little bit better, a little bit more fun. On the day Russia invaded Ukraine, Jacob Hicksna heard about this operation. He dropped everything in Warsaw and he came to Lublin with his girlfriend to help. I'm really glad I came here. Actually, I might lose my job, but I think it's worth it to experience the help that we can give to people, he said. There are people coming here that lost their whole life. They're still smiling. They're still nice. Rich people with expensive breeds of dogs, and they just are looking for warm clothing. They don't care about how it looks. It just needs to fit. They need Pampers. They need baby food. Jacob has seen about 100 people come through here each day. There are only 40 rooms, all full, so the hotel staff and volunteers help the rest find other rooms in town. One recent arrival is Natalia Mischenko. As she entered the building, she put her passport on the front counter, then dissolved into tears. She had fled with her 2 children while her husband stayed in Ukraine. Men of fighting age are not allowed to leave. I feel very scared because I don't know what to do next, she said. Another refugee is a 48-year-old woman named Nechama who asked us to use only her first name. She's still trying to comprehend the way her life has transformed in the last week. We thought that we will stay there, that we can't leave Kyiv. And one woman from the community phoned us and told us we have a bus from Kyiv in an hour and a half, she said. My father is an invalid. He's very, very sick. Nechama had 90 minutes to get to the bus that was leaving from the synagogue in Kyiv. She took her 18-year-old daughter, her husband, and her elderly parents. I forgot documents, and I forgot money, and I forgot all the things. I had only my passport in my bag, she said. Birth certificates, diplomas, all left behind. The bus left Kyiv in a crawl. Police frequently stopped it and took Ukrainian men of fighting age off. Nechama's husband was allowed to stay on because he's an Israeli citizen. The bus ride that is usually 5 hours took 18. And when they reached the border, they waited in line another 12 hours to cross. It's just amazing that we are alive till now, she said. Nechama said her daughter was scared. She was valedictorian of her school and got into a prestigious university in Kyiv. Now she doesn't know if she'll ever be able to attend. The staff at the hotel are still doing the same jobs they did when paying guests were staying here. Anastasia Boretsky works behind the bar. She's also Ukrainian and came to Poland in 2017 to study. Hearing about what these refugees have gone through makes her afraid for her own family. My mom, she says, all is okay, we're safe. But I know that's not true. Anastasia said she was supporting her family, and her family was supporting her. And everyone was trying to convince each other that everything was all right. They will stay in Kyiv because my mother is a nurse, and my father and uncle want to save their country, she said. I'm proud of them, but I would prefer them to come here and stay safe. The director of the hotel, Agnieszka Koblikska, never thought she'd be using her skills as a hoteler to help Ukrainian refugees. It's very hard because workers still need to get paid, she said. We give up a lot of money when we stopped taking big groups. Still, she connects the history of the building and the Holocaust with what's happening with the refugee crisis now. We owe a debt. My father survived the Holocaust. I am second generation, she said. This moment is not lost on Rabbi Shudrich either. This is one of the great historical ironies that for hundreds of years We are used to the stories of Jews fleeing Poland, and now Jews are fleeing into Poland, and they're safe. It's too overwhelming, and it does show the human capacity for change, that we need to be aware of the fact that history is important, but does not dictate the future. We dictate the future. He says sometimes he has the feeling that this is the reason the building was constructed almost 100 years ago, for the purpose it is serving today. As for how long he will keep doing this, that answer is easy, he says, as long as necessary. This is Shabbat Zachor, the Sabbath of memory. The Sabbath right before Purim each year, where we read a special maftir about how Amalek, an enemy of the Jewish people, attacked the procession wandering through the desert during our Exodus. And not only did the Amalekites attack our procession, but they did so at the back of the line, where the weak, the sick, the elderly, and the woman carrying small children were walking. All those who could not go fast and who could not defend themselves. This is the particular kind of evil that we must remember, but as we are instructed, it's the kind of evil we must also blot out. Amalek is Haman in the book of Esther, and Amalek is Hitler in the 20th century. Today, Amalek is President Putin and his collaborators who are bombing hospitals and schools and residential neighborhoods in Ukraine, indiscriminately killing anyone caught in the crosshairs. It is the evil that is causing this refugee crisis. Over 100,000 every day fleeing Ukraine. It is an evil we must never forget and work to destroy. Sometimes it targets Jews, sometimes others. It's the same hatred that fuels Islamophobia, white supremacy, homophobia, and all the irrational hatreds ginned up by the conspiracy theorists. This all is Amalek in different forms. But we can blot out Amalek by drawing on our own faith, our hope, our idealism that inspires us to create a world we want for ourselves, for our neighbors, and for our children. The destruction of Amalek can be achieved when people of different faiths and different opinions stand together. The destruction of Amalek can be achieved when we see each other's faces, when we stretch ourselves to feel the pain of the other. The destruction of Amalek can be achieved through courage, through love, through friendship. May we be blessed with continued hope and with faith, with courage and strength, with safety and peace for us and the people of Ukraine. Ken Yehi Ratzon. May it be God's will. Amen. And now let us hear from Vayikra, the beginning of our third book. And I invite all those who can to please rise as our ark is open.
We're on page 20.
Ki mitzion tetzei Torah.
Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, u'devar
Adonai
Yerushalayim.
Baruch shenatan Torah Yaakov lechuvanelcha ba'or Adonai. O house of Jacob, come, let us walk in the light of our God.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
Remember Adonai Eloheinu v'nishtachanu le'arkodecho. Remember Adonai Eloheinu v'nishtachanu le'arkodecho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romenu.
Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romenu. Romenu Adonai Eloheinu v'nishtachanu le'ar kodsho. Romenu Adonai Eloheinu v'nishtachanu le'ar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romenu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romenu.
Please be seated. Karma, what are we chanting today?
We are going to start right from the beginning of Vayikra.
A good place to start.
Yeah, why not? And as you said, parts of Vayikra can be a little difficult to wade your way through, but it starts on a really beautiful first opening word. There are two words in Hebrew that sound very similar to each other, Vayikar and Vayikra. They actually mean relatively similar things, but when you have that aleph at the end for Vayikra, so it implies that God is calling out to Moses. And he is calling out to someone with whom he is in relationship, with whom he has a precious and respectful and intimate experience. So without that aleph, it's just be like, yeah, someone you ran into in the market, the other day. So in the scroll, the aleph is written very small. It's a tiny little aleph. And so, of course, the rabbis had to ask, so don't you think that we should be really excited? We have this really neat, intimate, precious relationship. God's calling out to Moses, but yet it's a teeny tiny little aleph. And the rabbis teach that the reason it's a teeny tiny little aleph is Moses was a very humble person, and he didn't want to boast. So instead of writing big Vayikra, he just wrote the aleph teeny tiny to remind us that we should be humble. It's
Or
a nice
maybe
little
it
story
means when
reminder.
God calls out, we should listen very carefully.
Oh, I like that, Rabbi. And we're going
I
to have
believe
a
we have a communal aliyah.
communal aliyah this evening.
And my aliyah is on page 22.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamavorav.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Vayikra el Moshe, vayedaber Adonai elav, me'ohel moed lemor. Daber el bnei Yisrael, ve'amarta alehem Adam, ki yakriv mikem korban ladonai, min habehema, min habakaru, min hatzon, takrivu et korbanchem. Imola korbanu min habakar, zachar tamim yakrivenu, el petach, o el moed yakrivoto, lirtzono lifnei Adonai.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Yasher koach. Thank you, Carmen. Beautiful chanting. And we'd like to say special blessings in the presence of our Sefer Torah, especially blessings for good health and healing for friends and family, everyone who could use a little extra attention and a little extra help from us, anything that helps in the process of healing, our phone calls, our visits, our cards, our meal. It really does make a difference. All of us who've been sick know that. So those of you who are joining us online, I invite you to share in the chat the names of friends and family that we can then read aloud here from the Bima. And these are the
And those
names.
here?
Well,
Oh,
we'll
I'm
read
sorry.
them and we'll ask
Okay.
them. These are the names that we have on our list this week. Casey Campbell Shadman, Diane Dakin, Randy Watkins, Gabby Lopez Smith, Rebecca Williams, Victor Altman, Rose Machado, John Kaplan, Barry Klein, Ellen Clore, Jonathan Kelly, Thomas Boggs, Louise Riddle Kaufman, Nan Jacobs, Carol Hogue, Diane Smith, Judy Platt, Deborah Blinder, Robert Kurtzer, and Rachel Frederick. And do we have names that we'd like to share from the sanctuary?
Alan London.
Bill Meyer, Diane Drillsma. Misha Bayrock can be found on page 23. Lisa Rampolia, Trevor Hogue, Don Cordano.
We add to those names mentioned aloud those of us here in the sanctuary and at home who are in need for these same blessings of refuat hanefesh and refuat haguf for healing of mind and body and spirit. Baruch atah Adonai rofeh hacholim. Blessed are you, O God, who heals the sick.
Amen. We continue with a prayer for peace for those in Ukraine, those fleeing from Ukraine.
Which
And
we're going to put up on the screen. Holy One, source of strength, we ask your protection for Ukraine and its citizens. We pray for their safety and for the security of neighboring countries that have opened their borders to all those seeking refuge. We seek comfort and hope, even in the face of insurmountable odds. Bless our world leaders with the ability to work together for the greater good and the wisdom to make wise decisions. May the words of Isaiah, "Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore," become true in our day, in this very hour. Source of goodness, shelter us, shield us, and show us the path to peace. Those who are able, please rise.
Vezot
HaTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai beyad Moshe. Natati lachem Torati al ta'azovu Eis chayim hi lamachasikim ba v'tomcheha me'ushar Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'teit kedula li'aseh breshit, shelo asanu kinoyeh ha'arazot, velo samanu kemishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam. V'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai l'melech kol ha'aretz bayom ha'hu bayom ha'hu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo 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 echad. Please be seated. We remember and pay tribute to those who are no longer with us physically, but who we carry in our hearts and in our memories. And so they continue to bless and carry us in a very real way. We invite those of you at home who would like to share the names of loved ones who have passed either in the last week or 30 days or in the Shana, in this 1 year period of mourning. Or if there's a yahrzeit that you think we don't have, please share the names with us so we can share them from the Bima. And I invite anyone who is here with us today, if you are in Shloshim, a 30-day period of mourning, or Shana, won't you please rise and share with us the name of your loved one? Zichronam Livracha, may their memories forever be a blessing. And these are the names of those who have yahrzeit, the anniversary of their death sometime in the week ahead. If I read the name of your loved one, won't you please stand? We remember with love Sonia Arnapol, Stella Heilbrunn, Sydney Millett, Jenny Gell, Sarah Epstein, Beatrice Hawkeiser, Shirley Klug-Kolke, Elaine Schermerhorn, Max Blatt, Joseph Dreyfus, Myron Lubin, Jerry Eases, Maury Silver, Curtis Evie, Ruth Hoffman, Samuel Rosenthal, Hyman Scheingart, Alfred Wolf, and Joan Wolf.
We add to those, to our prayers, Dottie Williams, Phil and Brock Blair, Herm Lewin, Joey Robinow, Helen Schneider, Betty Myers, Laura Lee Southern, Philip Lipkin, Ethel Klein, and Larry Shore.
And on this 2-year anniversary, we remember that 18 million people in the world have died from COVID-19. May their memories be for a blessing. And we remember as well the 6 million who died in the Holocaust, so many leaving no one to remember them, to say Kaddish for them. So we take them into our own hearts, along with our loved ones who have died, as we turn now to page 26 and rise as we together recite Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'yalmad divrach herutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayachon v'yomechon, uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, Bagalav Visman Kari Vimru Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah Muvarach Leolam Ulomei Amaya. Yitbarak V'yishtabak V'yitpa'ar V'yitramam V'yitnaseh. V'yitadar V'yitaleh V'yitalal Shemei Dekudisha Barichu. La'ela Min Kol Birchata V'shirata. Tushbachata V'nechemata. Damiran Be'alma V'yimru Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chayim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru Amen. Osei Shalom B'mromav, Hu Yasei Shalom, Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, and comfort to the bereaved among us, and let us say Amen. Please be seated.
So thank you, Marianne, for lighting candles this evening, and to Beth for her gorgeous music. Thank you so much, especially that silent meditation. Thank you to Karma for your wonderful chanting, and to Ari for keeping us on live stream and doing that whole slideshow tonight. Thank you so much. Happy birthday to Valley Israels, Michael Cass, Lisa Cooperman, Peg Fairbrook, Sydney Heisler, and probably many, many more. But those that I know of right now in our congregation. We'll be welcoming our first Family Promise guests on April 17th. Volunteer opportunities abound. Sign up using the link included in this week's email. Please sign up to volunteer. There are so many opportunities. Thanks to everyone who completed a Food Fair Favorites survey. Watch your email this Monday announcing the winners and giving you the opportunity to place your order. Quantities on some items will be limited, so don't delay. Yum, I can't wait. We're celebrating Purim tomorrow night. Our Purim Spiel movie, Shushan's Story, is going to blow you away. Our in-person celebration starts with pizza at 5 p.m. Hope you made a reservation, but if you didn't, please call Karma or myself and let us know if you want to come. The movie will be at 6 o'clock here in person, but for those celebrating from home, the movie premieres at 6:15 p.m. right here on this channel on our YouTube. You can watch it tomorrow night at 6:15, or you can go on any time after that and watch it many, many times over. Congratulations to Ari on a wonderful, wonderful job, and to all of our 187 participants in this movie. Amazing.
I don't think you said our evening tomorrow starts at 5 p.m.
I did.
You did?
I did.
I guess I wasn't paying good attention.
You weren't. But I did forget to say one thing. Now that we're back together in person, and particularly because we're not wearing masks, many of us, I just want to remind you that we have a no scent kind of policy, meaning no perfumes or really strong, fragrant kind of things that you wear in your hair or whatever, because many of us, including myself, are allergic. And so if you will try and refrain from wearing scent, perfume, during services, or any time that we're gathered at temple, we really appreciate it.
Now that we're not wearing the mask, we really want to breathe.
We really want to breathe. And we are closing our service with Adon Olam, a new one that we did last week. It's on page 28, because there are a lot of words. But it's catchy. I hope you catch on. Adon Olam Hashem Alach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra V'yein Nasa B'chesed Azay Melech Shemo Nikra Ve'acharei Kichlot HaKol
Shabbat shalom u'mevorach. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom u'mevorach.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Kiddush and Motzi.
Oh, yes, now I forgot.
We're still getting back into the swing of things.
Yes, we are. But here.
Let's join together in a short kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Amen. L'chaim.
I'm not saying voila because it's not one of our congregants' homemade halls, but it's still going to be good.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Be especially good if we took it home and made French toast with it tomorrow.
If anybody wants to join our challah group and make homemade challah, let us know.
We welcome you.
We do. Now we can say, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Let's say to everyone
Let's
on
say
live
Shabbat
stream.
Shalom to everyone on the live stream. Chatzdaim Shalosh.
Shabbat Shalom.
Have a wonderful Shabbat, a safe weekend. We hope to see you tomorrow, 5 o'clock for Purim. Shabbat Shalom.
אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נעשה בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נעשה בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה
והוא אחד ואין שני להמשילו ולהכבירה בלי ראשית בלי תכלית ולא העוז והמשרה והוא אלי וחי גואלי וצור חבלי בעת צרה והוא ניסי ומנוסי מנת כוסי ביום אקרא אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נעשה בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה
בידו אפקיד רוחי בעת אישן ועירה באמרוכי גווייתי אדוני לי ולא אירא
אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא
בעת נעשה בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא
ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא
והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה
שלום, שבת שלום, שבת שלום ומבורך. שבת שלום, שבת שלום, שבת שלום ומבורך. שבת שלום, שבת שלום, שבת שלום ומבורך. שבת שלום, שבת שלום, שבת שלום